Hello, good afternoon. Am I audible? Okay, I'll just check if my PowerPoint is possible, is being shared or not. Just 1 second. So is the PowerPoint visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Is visible.
Thank you. I'll just stop sharing now and then start after 3 minutes. So a very good afternoon to all of you. Can I start the webinar?
Yes, ma'am. On behalf of our President JSSC, I welcome you all. So, good evening to our resource person and all the attendees. And now, ma'am, you can start the session.
Thank you so much.
Okay, ma'am.
Once again, warm welcome to this session. I just wanted to know how many of you have already attended a session on the same topic which I conducted earlier. If anybody has attended, kindly write in the chat box yes. And accordingly, I will make some changes. You have done? Yes. Okay, so some changes are there for those who had already attended, but the basic idea remains the same. So let me share my PowerPoint presentation, and here it is. Yeah. Okay. So the topic of the day is nurturing critical thinking for middle school students. Now, let us begin by uh, considering what thinking is. So, can you write in the chat box what is thinking? What do we mean by thinking? Not critical thinking, just plain thinking. What do we mean by thinking? Good evening to all of you. You need not write again and again. Just write the answer to this question. What do we mean when we say we are thinking? Our views, one thing to another. Okay. So the act of considering something is what we call thinking. It could be an idea, it could be an opinion, it could be a theory, or whatever we are considering, that is called thinking. Okay. But then what is critical thinking according to you? What according to you is critical thinking? Yes, I'm looking at your answers, evaluating ideas or opinions. Okay. Okay. Analyzing both pros and cons. Okay. Okay. Wonderful. So, why should we be thinking critically? Why critical thinking is so important? Is it to prove somebody right or wrong? Or why? Okay, we are analyzing ideas to understand things, out of box thinking or analytical thinking. That's fine. All this we should be doing. That is part of the critical thinking. But then, why should we at all go for critical thinking? What is so important for improvement? Okay, what do we want to improve? Okay, we want to improve our thinking. Clear. But then why should we do that? I mean, just for the joy of it, or it's critical at some point? Yes. So anytime we want to make a decision, when we want to evaluate whether to go for this or to go for that action, whether to have this plan or to have that plan, whether to buy this product or to buy that product, whether what this person is saying is harmful to me or it is beneficial to me. So every time at each juncture in our life, we are called upon to make decisions. And when can we make the right decisions? Only when we have learned to evaluate. And how do we evaluate? What all goes into evaluation? That process is not just thinking, but it is something more than thinking. And that is what is critical thinking. So once we understand what is critical thinking, what is involved in it, then only we could probably go about nurturing it in our classrooms, and then nurturing it in senior classrooms, nurturing it in middle school classroom, nurturing it in primary school classroom, how it is all different. So today we are going to consider especially the middle school's classroom. So let me begin by saying that we know that thinking is the name given to a range of mental activities which are involved in considering something. It could be analysis, it could be understanding, it would be synthesis or anything. And now we understand that thinking can be deliberately taught and it can be developed. Earlier thinking was that thinking is the capability to think with our mind. Intellectual thinking is God's gift, and we can only use whatever is given to us. But now the scientific research has shown that no, it can be developed. And in fact, for Indians, this is nothing new, because if you remember, we had this saying in our culture, सरस्वती के भंडार की बड़ी अपूरब बात, ज्यों ज्यों खर्चे त्यों बढ़े, बिन खर्चे घटी जात. Right? So we already know, being Indians, that if we practice thinking, then it is going to develop, right? So this is the new thinking that is supposedly come from the Western countries. Now, critical thinking. We understand that thinking can be is involved whenever we are analyzing, synthesizing, understanding, and it can be developed. But then what is critical thinking? It is thinking about our thinking. How do we think about our thinking? We can say, is what we are thinking correct? So when we are questioning whether our thinking is correct or not, we are thinking about our own thinking. When we are asking, is this thinking logical? Again, we are thinking about our own thinking. So when we raise questions about our thinking, then we are thinking about our thinking, and that is what critical thinking is. So what are the kind of questions that we can raise which enable us to indulge in critical thinking, which will lead to better evaluation of our thinking, which will be leading to better decision making? So these are the questions that we are considering. Does this thinking make sense? Is something left out in this thinking? What makes you think that? Is that thinking fair? Is this clear thinking? Have all consequences been thought of? Which way of thinking is better, this or that? What is the purpose of our thinking? What will be the consequences of our thinking? So when we are questioning, then we are doing critical thinking. So now if we understand that to raise such questions is to provide an opportunity for critical thinking, then this is exactly what is to be done in our classroom. Now let me take up one example. Supposing I put a question to you, is Dettol an effective disinfectant? What will be your answer? Please write in the chat box. Is Dettol an effective disinfectant? Please write in the chat box what is your thinking. Yes or no, or whatever you want to write. If you want to ask me something, that also you can ask. But write your response in the chat box, that how do you respond to this question? Is Dettol an effective disinfectant? So everyone is writing yes. Do you have a, now supposing this is your thinking, yes or no, that's fine. But now how to convert it into critical thinking? So can you tell me what will convert it into critical thinking? What will convert it into critical thinking? You are thinking that yes, Dettol is an effective disinfectant. But what will convert it to critical thinking? That is my question. We have just discussed in the last slide how thinking becomes critical thinking when we start thinking about our thinking. How do we start thinking about our thinking? By raising questions. So now, if you're thinking that Dettol is an effective disinfectant, how will you convert it into critical thinking? What questions will you raise? Yes, compare with others. Okay, what makes it a good disinfectant? Okay, so I would raise the first question is that what is it that you want to disinfect first? First thing is, what is it that you want to disinfect? Do you want to disinfect food? Do you want to disinfect your floor? Do you want to disinfect your hands? Do you want to disinfect the vegetables? Do you want to disinfect the vessels? Do you want to disinfect your clothes? What is it that you want to disinfect? Now, once you decide, when I'm questioning that what is the purpose of this question, what is it that is wanted to be disinfected, then only we can say whether yes or no. Supposing I want to say that I want to disinfect my hands, what would be your answer? Yes or no? Yes or no? What would be your answer? Write in the chat box. If I ask you, I want to disinfect my hands, is Dettol an effective disinfectant? disinfect answer. Yes, please. I'm so sorry. I don't know what happened. The connection got lost. So let me just share once again what I was presenting. Yes. So I was talking about whether Dettol would be a good disinfectant. So here I want to invite your opinion as to whether it would be an effective disinfectant for my hands. So what would you say? Would it be effective for my hands? Yes. Yes or no? Am I audible? Yes, I'm audible. Okay. So now, would you say that Dettol is an effective disinfectant for my hands? Now, if I were thinking critically, I would ask one further question. To disinfect my hands against what? What would I want to do? I want to disinfect my hands against? Is it against common germs? Or is it against coronavirus? What is it that I want to disinfect my hands again? Should I be asking this or not? Yes. Okay, I should be asking this question, whether I want to disinfect my hands against common germs, or is it to disinfect it against coronavirus? So now if I ask these questions, then what would you say? Yes or no? Is it effective against coronavirus? Common germs? Both? Yes, everybody is saying yes. But if I were to further question my own thinking, I would ask myself, what is it that kills coronavirus? Can Dettol kill a coronavirus? Now, if I ask this myself, I will search for information on what kills coronavirus and then whether Dettol has that or not. So now let me look at the information that that the Dettol displays on its own bottle. Now, this is the information that is given on the bottle, and the bottle also writes coronavirus. Now, should I conclude that it is effective against COVID-19? Yes or no? No. Why do you say no? Why would you say, okay, somebody is saying maybe or may not be, but here it is written coronavirus. Should I believe this or should I not believe this? This is critical thinking. So now I want to find, now I thought to myself, what is the year in which this is printed? But I do not see any year of printing of this label. Because if this label was printed before 2020, then it is not correct. And if it is printed after 2020, it may be correct. But then what does coronavirus mean? Does it cover COVID-19 or it does not cover? So you see, when I'm questioning all this, I'm questioning my own thinking, and this is critical thinking. So now when I search for the coronavirus information, I realize there are lot many coronaviruses, and COVID-19 is only one special coronavirus. So is COVID-19 virus, is it, can it be killed by Dettol? So when I look for information, it tells me that only that disinfectant can kill COVID-19, which has at least 60% alcohol. Okay, so you see, when I'm questioning my own thinking, I'm learning more and more, and I'm getting to the more specific information which will be useful in making a decision. Now, when I learned on the internet that 60% alcohol is needed to kill coronavirus in any agent, now I'm coming back to this information. Now look at the amount of alcohol which it is mentioning here. The amount of alcohol that it is mentioning here is this much, this 9.43% alcohol. So if COVID-19 can be killed only by 60%, by an agent which has at least 60% alcohol, can this Dettol having 9.4% alcohol be effective in killing COVID-19 virus? Yes or no? Please write in your chat box. Yes or no? No, right. So you see, only when I have questioned my thinking that what is my purpose of disinfecting, is it to disinfect my hands? Then what is it that I want to disinfect my hands against common germs or coronavirus? Then again questioning which coronavirus, whether COVID-19 or any other coronavirus. Then to question that what kills COVID-19 virus. Then I arrived at this conclusion that it is 60% alcohol. Now I'm questioning again, is Dettol having this 60% alcohol? And that is when I realized that no, it cannot be a good disinfectant because it has only 9.4% alcohol. So the answer is not so important. What is important is to understand this process of questioning my own thinking. And this is what we want to bring about in the classroom. Okay. So going further, what is at the core of this way of critical thinking? There are two things at the core of critical thinking. One is perspectives and the other is reflection. Yes, you are saying analyzing, you are right. That is part of our perspectives as well as reflection. Now, why we are saying that perspectives and reflection are two important parts of critical thinking. Look at the perspectives. Now, supposing I tell you that somebody is observing and saying it is a rope, what would you think it is? You might think that it's a snake, it's a blind person, maybe, or what is observing, maybe a rope or a thick wire or a snake or something. Then somebody else is observing by his hands, touching, and says it's a tree. Third person touches by hand, says it's a snake, and fourth person touches that object and says it's a spear. Fifth person touches that object and says it's a fan. And you all know the story that actually these are blind men who are touching an elephant. But the point is that all of them were correct in their observation, and only when everything is brought together and added with a visual perception, then only we understand that it was an elephant. So this is what is the advantage of perspectives, that when we look at the world, we have a very limited frame of reference. We look at the world with very fixed frames of our mind. So we see a very limited view of the world. Somebody looks at it from the same thing from another point of view. Another person looks at it from another point of view and has a different interpretations. So if all of us plug in our viewpoint, we get the larger picture. And that is the power of perspectives. And what perspectives also help, how they also help us in critical thinking is, because when you look at something, somebody will give a counter claim that no, it is not this, it is this. Somebody might say that this ship that you are looking is a tourism ship. Somebody might say that no, it is a battleship. Now, when somebody raises a counterclaim, we can ask, what makes you think that it is a battleship? Then that person might give us some pointers. Then we may question that why do you think that what is written indicates a battleship? Is this what is written normally on battleships? Somebody may dissent and say that no, this is not what is written on battleship. So these claims, counterclaims, questions, dissent, this help us at arriving at the right conclusion. So the different perspectives which are given by different people are helping us in refining the argument. They're helping us in weeding out the generalization. The moment you look at a ship, you may say, oh, this ship is a tourism ship. But no, it may be another kind of ship. It may be a ship which is going out for fishing. So we may not generalize when people give different perspectives. It helps us to reach at specifics away from the generalizations. Then it helps us to spot errors and biases in our own reasoning. And then perspectives bring in the power of collaboration. See, power of collaboration comes from a disagreement, because when people disagree, then they bring out new perspectives. So collaboration does not mean absence of disagreement. It is the ability to discuss and resolve differences which enables us to tap into the power of perspectives. Being different is what is useful for a perspective. Okay. So this is how perspectives help us in thinking critically about an issue and help us in arriving a correct perspective. Then reflections. Second aspect of critical thinking is reflections. Why reflection is essential at every step? Please write in the chat box, what do you think? Why reflection is very important? Reflection means thinking about our own thinking, whether it is right or this is the way we should go about it. Reflecting about our own thinking. Why is it important? It is important because it helps us to refine, test, and improve our ideas, solutions, and patterns of thinking, right, to take the correct decision. And how it enables, how reflection enables us to improve ideas, solutions, and patterns of thinking by generating new possibilities. And that comes from different perspectives. So reflection can, which is conscious, which is explicit, and which is visible. These three things about reflection make thinking accessible to others as well as to ourselves over time. So when does reflection become useful? When it is conscious, when it is explicit and it is visible, because then it helps everybody to learn. And how we can make it all this conscious, explicit, and visible? By making self-reflections or by peer feedback or by group reflection. So this is what we have to do in our classrooms, that create opportunities for reflection so that different perspectives can come in and then question them and make everybody come out where they're thinking and share it with everybody so that we get a platform for questioning well. Okay. So now we have all heard of Bloom's taxonomy. How we can make Bloom's taxonomy a, a, a guide for reflection. So a new presentation or a new variation on Bloom's taxonomy for reflections is this. That first level of Bloom's taxonomy, is remembering. So we can remember what we did. We are questioning ourselves. What did I do? Which I did just now. What did I do? I'm questioning. So I'm remembering it. I'm going over it again. I'm going over the intricacies of my actions and my thought process again. Then about understanding, I can ask, what is important about this understanding? So just now we understood something about Dettol. So I'm asking myself that when I was going through this understanding, what was important? The important part was that trying to understand the purpose of Dettol, right? Then applying where I could use this again. So when I have understood this process of arriving at the correct answer for Dettol, when I am considering washing of clothing, then also I can go through this same process and understand whether Dettol is effective for washing clothes or not. But again, I have to ask whether the germs are common germs or COVID-19 germs. Okay. Then, then analyzing, do I see any pattern in what I did? Okay. When I saw earlier that 60% alcohol was good for killing COVID-19 virus, can I apply the same pattern here? Is there something else also which kills the COVID-19 virus? Yes, soap kills, because soap takes away the fat covering of the COVID-19 virus. Okay. So that analysis, that information helps me. So then I can evaluate that my action of washing clothes with soap or adding Dettol, which will be more effective. Whether it will be the act of washing clothes with soap that will be more effective, or whether using the COVID-19, the Dettol for killing the COVID-19 germs present in the clothes will be more effective. So now I'm evaluating whether washing with soap is better or whether adding the Dettol is better. So then I am asking, what should I do next? So this process of reflection using Bloom's taxonomy for reflection can also be helpful. Then going further, now this is what we have to do in our classroom, but to do this, we have to create a culture of thinking in our classroom. The culture of thinking what? Thinking what we value, thinking what we want to promote. So just now when we saw the process of critical thinking, what is it that we realize should be promoted? First thing that should be promoted is observing very closely and describing what is there. So when I observe very closely what was written on the bottle of Dettol, I was able to understand better how to use that information. Then building explanations and interpretations. So when I see something closely, some questions come to my mind. And when I try to answer those questions and I try to interpret the information, I am helped in building explanations, right? Then reasoning with evidence. So when I try to reason whether COVID-19 can be killed with Dettol or not, what was the evidence? The evidence was about the amount of alcohol that was written on the information, and that helped me in my reasoning, making connections. Now, when what is written here and how it is helpful in or not helpful in killing the COVID virus, that is how I was making the connections, considering various viewpoints and perspectives. Now, another viewpoint and perspective about killing of COVID-19 was the action of soap. Not only just the action of alcohol, but there is another perspective that you can kill it by soap also. Then capturing the core and forming the conclusion. So when I come to the core that I have, what is my purpose? My purpose is to disinfect against COVID virus. Then how it can be killed by soap and by alcohol, 60% alcohol. And that helped me coming to a logical, correct conclusion. Had I not known this, I would have gone on washing my hands with Dettol, thinking that yes, COVID-19, this is effective against COVID-19 virus, but it would have been detrimental to my health, right? So this is how we want to promote a culture of thinking in our classrooms. So what are the opportunities of doing this? What are the platforms that we can provide in the classrooms which can make children wonder and ask these questions, and then how they can uncover the complexity and go below the surface of things? That is by making them perform these thinking moves such that the thinking becomes visible in the classroom and is shared with everybody. Okay, so what we can do now, first routine that helps in doing this is see, think, and wonder, and how it promotes critical thinking skills. Because when we show them something and we ask them, what do you see? It promotes keen observation. When we ask them, what do you think? They come out with their thinking. And then when we ask them, what do you wonder? They start questioning. They start questioning their own thinking. And that is how we can bring in the critical thinking skills in the classroom. They describe, they interpret, they question, right? So see, think, and wonder harnesses the power of looking carefully, and students are required to look closely and intently as a foundation for greater insights and interpretation. So look at this Amul advertisement. Okay. Oh, Captain, Mahi Captain, then well done, MSD. Okay. So now what do you see here? Write in the chat box. What do you think about this? What do you think about this advertisement? Write in the chat box, please. That when you look at this picture, what are you thinking? Please write in the chat box. And then what I can question you about, right? Who is stronger? Talking about MSD, talking very nice session. No, I don't want your opinions on the session. I want you to please respond to my query. That what do you think about this advertisement? What is it telling you? Is it telling us about Dhoni? What is the purpose of this advertisement? The purpose of the advertisement is to engage the people by tapping on their interest in cricket and tickle their minds with humor, and how we can use this advertisement. In English you have these contextual meaning. So here we can ask the children, what does mahi mean here? So what do you think mahi means here in this particular advertisement? What is the meaning of the word mahi? Is it referring to the name of uh, Dhoni, a surname of Dhoni, or here mahi means something else? What does it mean as an English word? Do you think the contextual mean? Yes, my is the contextual meaning of mahi. What is the contextual meaning of dhon? Dhon, dhon. What is the contextual meaning of dhon? Dhon, done, right? Done, done. Very nice. So you see, we are questioning the children, and when they tell us, we understand whether they are understanding the contextual meaning of these words or not, right? So this is how we bring about their understanding in the classroom. Now look at this. Better soft than sorry. Amul, always safe. So what is it referring to? What is this advertisement referring to? It is obviously referring to the practice of washing hands with soap, and especially in times of COVID-19, right? That is why it is talking about safe, sorry, and safe. Look at the rhyming starting, safe, safe, and sorry. So this is the enjoyment. It is tapping the playfulness of the words and to give a message, right? Then don't go from bad to wars. Now, what is the contextual meaning of wars here? What do you think is the contextual meaning of wars here? Yes, please write in the chat box. If you are an English teacher, or even if you are not an English teacher, what is the contextual meaning of wars in this particular advertisement? Wars, right? Wonderful, wars. Because it is talking about the war between Ukraine and Russia. And what do we mean here? Sign treaty with a treat. What is the meaning of treat here? Okay. Treaty, we understand that it might be a treaty between the two nations who are going to war. But what is the meaning of a treat here? What the treat is referring to? Not live in peace. Here, peace treaty, fine. But here, the treat refers to the butter Amul, which is being applied on the bread. Okay. So you see, by questioning, we understand whether our children are thinking in the direction in which we want to lead them. And what was the direction in which we wanted to lead them? In this particular case, it was the contextual meaning of the words. Now proceeding further, now look at these dices. So when you look at these dices, what do you wonder? Now I wonder what is behind the number 5. What is behind the number 5? Which number is behind number 5? So what do you say? Write in the chat box. What do you say? What number is behind number 5? Not from your usual experience, but by observing here, observing this particular photograph very carefully. What do you think is behind number 5? Somebody has written number 6. Now, critical thinking would be asking, do you think this 6 is correct? What makes you think that it is number 6? All these questions will make you think critically. 2, 3, 4. Now, can it be 6 if I can see number 6 on the side? Obviously, it can't be behind 6. So, the critical thinking led me to this reaching that 6 is not the correct answer. Now, look at this. The side number is 3. So, again, 3 could not be on the back side of 5. Then I look at this 4, and here also there is 4 on the side. So 4 cannot be on the side. Then look at this, this is 1. So even 1 cannot be on the side. So now 1 is not on the side, 3 is not on the side, 4 is not on the side, 6 is not on the side. So the only thing left is 2. So you see, this picture is giving us an opportunity to promote keen observation. And then whatever are the responses, when we are questioning them, we are questioning the thinking, then we are arriving at the correct conclusion. So this is how we can provide opportunities in the classroom for critical thinking. Now look at this picture. What do you see here which is not visible? What do you see that is not visible? Write in the chat box, please. What is it that you find is not visible? Yes, can you write in the chat box? Air, okay, very good. Sky is visible. Sun is visible. Birds, not visible right now, okay, but they might be there, very good. Air is of course there. Oxygen is there. Carbon dioxide is there. Water vapor is there. All these are there, which we are not able to see in this picture, but they're there. So what makes you think that air is there? What makes you think that air will be there? Animals will be there. So when we question, the children might come up with some answers. They will say that because the sun is there, the trees must be doing photosynthesis. And if they are doing photosynthesis, the oxygen is definitely there, and then they must be releasing they must be taking in carbon dioxide and releasing oxygen. So both these things would be there, right? So questioning the children, what makes you think, will bring out their thinking more. Okay. Then look at this picture. Now this I have added new. You haven't seen it in the last picture. Now, how is the boy feeling? What do you think? Write in the chat box. How is the boy feeling? What do you say? Boy is excited, scared, scared, scared. Okay, so the person who is saying the boy is excited, I'm asking what makes you think that? The people who are writing scared or shocked, what makes you think that? Let me question you. What makes you think that? So please write the answer for whatever you're writing. What makes you think that the boy is scared? Okay, his face. What about his face? Facial expressions. What expressions? The dilated eyes, the teeth doing like this. Is they holding tight? Wonderful. He's holding on tightly and holding on tightly to the hands and to the seat. Wonderful. So this is how we are promoting keen observation. And when we are asking, how do you know? I'm asking you to go back to your thinking and inspect your thinking. That why did I come to this? Why did I think that the boy is scared? Why did I think that the boy is shocked? Right? So we are going over our own thinking. We are re-inspecting our thinking. Now look at all the people here. Do you think that out of all the three people visible, one person is enjoying and not so scared? Whom do you think is not so scared, is enjoying more? And why do you say that? This person, do you think she is enjoying? Yes or no? Write in the chat box. Yes, I don't think so because, but look at this person. This person, I think, is enjoying because the laughter is not out of fear. Yes, the fear is there, but also there is laughter of enjoyment. This is screaming, but this is laughter with excitement mixed with fear. Okay, right. So this is how we can re-examine whatever we are thinking. Now look at this video. So when we put such videos in the classroom, The children may wonder what is the question that you might be coming up with when you look at this whale, this fish. Look at this fish. What is the question that comes to your mind? You might be thinking about, at least I think that I have seen so many patterns. Why these patterns? I have seen patterns on zebras. I have seen these patterns on the tigers. I have seen these patterns on butterflies. So why there are these patterns in the nature? And then I can question further and arrive at some conclusion. Another beautiful exercise that we can do in the class is odd one out. Now look at the three pictures and tell me which one is the odd one. Write down in the chat box. Whether it is the first picture, left picture, or the middle picture, or the right picture. Which one do you think is the odd one out? Left one. Why do you say it is the odd one out? Now, when you are saying that first one is the odd one out, this is your thinking. But if we want to do critical thinking, let us question that. Why are you saying that the first one is the odd one out? Now somebody is saying it is the third one which is the odd one out. So what makes you think that it is the odd one out? First one because of light. What about light? So what about light? Now you see, if I were there, I would say that none of them are odd one out, probably because all of them are showing some states of water. But I would say maybe the third, the rightmost is where my cursor is the odd one out, because in the first one it is the vapor, steam, and here also it is vapor, hot vapor, but here it is the smoke of the jet planes which is getting condensed because of the cold atmosphere. So that may be my thinking. But there is no fixed answer, and that each one will bring in his or her own thinking. That will bring in lot of perspectives, different ways of looking at these three pictures. There is not one correct answer. So it is the power of perspectives which will help us to learn more and more about each one of those pictures. So what is important is not the correct answer here, but importance is the thought process that we are generating through this picture. Then weight at bedtime and at awakening. When you go to sleep at night and when you get up early in the morning, is your weight same? Yes or no? Write in the chat box. Write in the chat box. When you go to sleep and when you get up in the morning, is your weight same or not same? So you are saying no. This is thinking. Now, how I can make it critical thinking is by asking, is it the same? Yes, you are saying no, but then I am asking, why is it not so? What makes you say that it is not so? Then what somebody is saying same, what makes you say that it is same? And if you're saying no, what makes you say it is not same? Why is it not same? Some people say that we burn matter up as energy. When we go to sleep, we burn up matter. We burn up matter. But do we burn? Then again, we can question critically and say that do we burn up matter as energy? No, we don't. Somebody says we breathe it out. Do we breathe it out? Right. You see, we don't burn it up as energy because we are not active. But when we are breathing out, what we are doing is we are taking in the oxygen and breathing out carbon dioxide. So carbon is the additional matter that is being thrown out of the body, and that is how matter goes out of the body, right? So this is how critical thinking makes us arrive at greater detail. Similarly, how do the trees gain weight? Does the mass come in through roots as water and minerals? Do we question it? The matter is moving in through the leaves. Is it Do you think it enters through the leaves? Through what process does more mass enter the tree and the trees gain weight? Right. Okay. So again, the answer is not correct, but the process of questioning and that critical thinking is what is important. Then how we can take it further? We can ask them before reading a paragraph that what do you think might happen in the paragraph or in the story? What information of evidence might you gather to help you decide with confidence if the prediction that you made is good? Is it likely or unlikely? When you look for such evidence, what do you find? Based on this evidence, is the prediction likely, unlikely, or uncertain? So this is the way when we question, we encourage critical thinking, we nurture critical thinking. Another is to create headlines. Ask the children to make headlines on what we have just read as a story or as a paragraph or as a lesson. Why should we do that? How headlines generate critical thinking skills? We can ask them, if you were to write a headline for this topic or issue right now that captured the most important aspect that should be remembered, what would that headline be? How has your headline changed based on today's discussion? How does it differ from what you would have said yesterday? So when we are doing these two ways of asking about headlines, we are encouraging reflecting on what they read. We are encouraging them to synthesize all their ideas in one place, right? So this writing headlines involves summarizing and capturing the heart of a story, focusing on the big ideas or what really stand out. But how does a child focus on big ideas or what stands out is by revisiting his thinking, by re-examining what he read, what was the core idea, by analyzing his thought process, and then coming up with all the ideas together to synthesize them. So this is again promoting critical thinking. Another beautiful way of doing it is through concept cartoons. Now, if you were an English teacher, you might introduce this concept cartoon, which would show a phone shop, a poster on which phone shop is written. And one person is saying they shouldn't be allowed to spell it like that. Another person is saying spelling depends on where the word is being used. This person is saying language changes over time. This is the modern spelling. This person says it should be spelled like that all the time because it is easier. Now, what do you think? So when we show this cartoon to the children and ask them, what do you think? They would agree or disagree, or they would consider all these perspectives and then evaluate. So you see, first of all, it doesn't threaten the child. If we ask the child directly, do you think FONE is the correct spelling? The child feels that if he says yes or no, he will be judged for his capability or his knowing the correct spelling. But when we discuss it through these concept cartoons, we bring different perspectives in the class. We are giving freedom to the children. We are showing them that yes, you are allowed to bring up different points of view and then consider each one through discussion, that is this thinking right or wrong. So this is how we are giving options to the children. It becomes differentiated classroom and children learn to evaluate each opinion in light of what they have been taught. Now look at this concept cartoon for science teachers. Now this person says, I feel more heat because my shirt is white. This girl is saying, I feel more heat because my shirt is shiny. This man says, I feel more heat because my shirt is black. Now, which one do you think is correct? If you say that I feel more heat because my shirt is white, I can question you. So, what is important about white? Do you think white absorbs more heat? Now, how do you go about testing that? Can we test it by some experimental investigation? Can we go about testing this shiny clothes by experimental investigation? So the children will learn to explore each of these ideas through experiment, through theoretical concepts, and then finally, with the help of the evidence that they have collected, they will arrive at a correct conclusion. Then this could be another way. First, we might ask the children without giving the opinion, why don't people lay eggs like birds do? Let them write their different opinions in their notes and then show these on the board. One person says the shell would be too thick for the baby to get out. This says people don't build nests, so there is nowhere to put the eggs. This person says we do have eggs, but they are inside the mother. This person says eggs might get eaten by the animals. Now look at all these. Now then, let us discuss this in the classroom, because children themselves might have funny ideas. And the point is not to laugh at them, but to discuss them and remove any misconceptions if there are any. And this becomes possible only if we give such opportunities for the children to express. And then if we laugh at them and if we judge them, then gone is that trust in our classroom. Then the children will never go forward with their critical thinking. The trust will build up when we will take up each opinion and consider its pros and cons and show them how thinking can be made logical. That is when they will put our trust in us, and they will not shy away from expressing their opinions and considering their logicalness. Right? Now, another one is this for mathematics teachers. Today's audience, 8,000. It's a quarter more than yesterday. This is what is on the screen. Now, what do you think about it? This person says a quarter is 8 of 8,000 is 2,000. So yesterday's audience was 6,000. Carol says a quarter more, you must add the 2,000. Then Radix says you have it wrong. 1/4 is 8,000. 4 by 4 are 32,000. Tonda says I sketched a picture and it shows that yesterday's audience was 6,400. Now you decide which one do you think is correct. Examine each answer whether it is wrong. Then ultimately you might arrive at the correct answer, right? So concept cartoons nurture critical thinking by giving an opportunity for evaluating. It involves evaluating different opinions against first principles or concepts and arriving at a decision. So these are the ways in which we can nurture critical thinking in middle school classroom. These are my contact details on Facebook and LinkedIn. You may connect with me, see the kind of programs that I do, give your questions, give your opinions over there. And that is all I have about today's program. But I would like, if you have any questions to ask, then I can help you with the answers. So please
Thank
come out with your
you,
questions.
ma'am, for your valuable and wonderful session. And thank you all the participants.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your nice expressions of appreciation. Thank you so much. I'm very grateful to you. Hope you've really enjoyed. And if you have any questions, kindly post them. Thank you once again. If there are no questions, then I'll be leaving the session with your permission.